Hey, Ben.
Hey, I got nothing better to do.
Nothing happening today. It's such a slow news day.
So, Matt, why don't you start us off with your first question?
Well, Ben, I think, can I call you Ben?
Sure,
I guess
absolutely.
I feel like it's Facebook Live, so...
I'm going to stick with Doctor.
One of the crazy things about this convention is a lot of people are not here. Who are some of the people? I love running into you. Did run into Ted Cruz yesterday. Newt Gingrich is here. Who are the people who you wish were here who aren't? Who
Well,
skipped it?
I would like to see, the former presidents here.
Just because you want their autograph or for party unity?
I think it says a lot about, the evolution of the party.
Yeah.
And the fact that they don't find that they fit anymore is disappointing.
Yeah.
Is it their fault that the party has evolved beyond them, or Donald Trump's fault that he's pushed them out?
I don't think anybody has pushed anybody out. I think people's feelings are what pushed them out. When they place their feelings above unity of the party and the good of the country, I think that creates a problem.
Let me ask you real quick. So they're doing sound checks right now, which is one of the cool things about being in this convention hall beforehand. And the teleprompter has the Gettysburg Address in there, which I think is great. So when you did your sound check, you had to read the Gettysburg Address, right? And then
I have read the Gettysburg Address for different sound checks.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Yes.
So what's that like, reading something like that, getting ready to give your own speech?
It's wonderful. But as you may or may not know, the Gettysburg Address was only like 2 minutes and 38 seconds. But it was so incredibly impactful. Those words are something that used to be that almost every American knew. Now they don't seem to know much of anything.
Like the first 6 or 7 score words.
Yeah. So
I know the decimals of pi more than I know the words.
Indeed.
Hey, so how many conventions have you been to before?
A grand total of 1, which is this
right,
one.
First convention.
In fact,
Congratulations.
the last time around, in 2012, I remember looking at it with great interest. I remember a lot of the speakers, and I would have never imagined that I would have been involved in politics. I was still practicing neurosurgery at that time.
Wow. What didn't meet your expectations? I mean, conventions are, if anything, they're just very weird. Everything about it is kind of weird. It's not reality. It's a bubble of people who don't live here, who are here for 4 days.
It's not quite as contentious as I expected. Having, watched many conventions over the years, that was real drama. This
I mean,
not so much.
There's some drama. Ted Cruz last night was that was A+ drama. Even Trump, who was watching that, was like, "This is great ratings." I guarantee you. And I know you thought it was at least different.
It was different. There's no question. But for me, it was more disappointment than it was enjoyment of the drama.
Where did you say you were on the floor for that?
I was right about over there.
Oh, right by Nevada.
Yeah.
Cool.
Did you get a sense you were witnessing a historic moment, or at least?
Well, yeah, I knew that this would be something that would be played for years and years to come.
Let me ask you about Mike Pence, who you like Mike.
He's a great guy.
He got the job as a running mate. Maybe you thought you could have had that job at some point. I'm sure you would have wanted to if Trump offered it to you.
I didn't want to get involved in that capacity only because, as you may remember, when I started rising in the polls and hit front runner status, the left wing went crazy. And they start making up stuff, and the same thing would happen. And we can't really afford that kind of distraction because we have to win.
All right, I get that you don't want to be a distraction, but if Donald Trump is elected president, would you want to serve in his administration?
I will help.
Yeah?
You don't necessarily have to be in the administration to help.
But what about Surgeon General? Would you do that? I mean, you seem uniquely qualified for a job like that.
It's a ceremonial position. It was offered to me by the Bush administration, the Obama administration, before they found out I was a conservative.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not something that I aspire to.
Yeah.
I think I can do a lot more, quite frankly, from outside because I'm in contact with a lot of different groups, can facilitate, can continue to advise. I think those things will be extraordinarily helpful.
You don't want one of those sweet, do-nothing jobs.
I don't.
Just get the status. You want to do real work.
Absolutely.
That's kind of cool. I think that, being here is kind of the end of, well, not kind of, it is the end of the primary campaign. Have you kind of like reflected at all about what your campaign was like in the past few days and speaking and all that stuff?
Well,
Some of your memories?
it's been, going on Radio Row and, interview after interview and going and speaking to the various delegations. Yes, it's very similar to being back on the road again.
Yeah.
And, there were a lot of pleasant things about being on the road.
Yeah.
But the most important thing I think about my run is all the professionals, the political pundits said it's impossible for someone like you who's never run for anything, doesn't have a Rolodex, doesn't have Washington connections, to run a national campaign. And for president, are you kidding? You can't do it.
Yeah.
And people were able to see that it was possible.
Yeah.
At one point, I led the field of 17. It is possible, and I want other people to recognize that our system was designed for citizen statesmen and not for career politicians.
Yeah.
Well, when you were leading, and you said this yourself, you said the left wing went crazy, but also one of your opponents had some things to say about you when you got up there, and I know you've said it before.
Sure.
It's like heat of the moment, people say things.
Right.
Has Donald Trump ever apologized to you?
Yeah, he explained to me exactly why he did that. He said, I panicked.
Oh, that's good. So you were like, you should be president. This will be all.
You're telling me Trump panicked?
Well, he couldn't figure out, why did I keep coming and everybody else was way back in the dust.
Oh, wow. So were you flattered when you heard that? Like, wow, I got under this guy's skin?
Not one way or the other, because, I always, again, look at the big picture. And I think the right things happen. And I actually believe that he is the right candidate.
What about all that stuff about, the belt, and you compared you with a child molester, and I know it's water under the bridge, but come on, that is brutal.
Well, he claims he was just repeating what was written and what other people had said. But no one believed that anyway.
Alex says things to me all the
I
time.
need to learn from you.
That
Once you
hurts.
question my work ethic,
Yeah.
and I wanted to.
I don't think that hurt me in the slightest. What he did there. I think what hurt me were the attacks in France, in Europe, in California, and the narrative was propagated that a nice person cannot be tough on terror, and I think people initially believed that.
Do you think now that we're still seeing those attacks, unfortunately, that narrative helps Trump now?
I think it does. Absolutely.
Why?
Because, we're in what I call the WWE Raw stage, and we want to hear,
Yeah.
We don't want to hear, okay, what we need to do is we need to cut off their money supply. We need to make sure that we don't allow them to have a headquarters in Raqqa or anywhere else.
Are you doing an impression right now of Hillary Clinton or Ben Carson?
Pretty good.
So you're saying deep, sober analysis would not be welcome at this point in time. So if you were nominated the other night, and at this point in time, alternate universe, you are the Republican nominee running for president, these attacks are still going on, would you be offering we need to go into Raqqa, we need to destabilize their financial institutions?
I would be spending time talking and explaining to people exactly who our enemies are, because I don't think we have done enough of that.
But didn't you just say that actually wouldn't play that well?
Well, I didn't really get a chance.
This alternate election.
I didn't get a chance to really do very much of that.
Yeah.
Because, the media decides what they want to cover. For instance,
We are the media.
I did a 1-hour town hall in South Carolina on foreign policy and the difficult situations, and it was wall-to-wall cameras, and there was only one report on it, and they said, wow, we had no idea he knew so much. But the others, they said a word because it didn't fit their narrative that this guy can't possibly know all this
I
stuff.
had a picnic that day. I was going to come.
There are a lot of things we have to do.
I was like,
so it's not all about you all the time, Ben.
Yeah.
It's about us.
But, it's the way the system works. But here's the bottom line. It worked, and we have a candidate. And I think he's the right candidate. And I think he will be able to fight vigorously for the right principles. And you need someone like that, because Hillary Clinton and her crew will bring the dirtiest, nastiest tactics known to man.
You're doing a great job as a surrogate right now for Donald Trump, which is your job. But as you know, I think you have been not always the greatest surrogate for Donald Trump.
You've been
people have
questioned
written
in the
about
past
this.
about-
And maybe it's because you speak your mind, and that's in the media we appreciate that.
I speak my mind, and then the media does the rest.
Well,
you
hold
know?
on. You said about Trump, quote, he has some major defects. I don't think an ideal surrogate would say
but did you hear the rest of the comment?
Yes.
I said, like all of us, we all have major defects,
Okay.
and he does too. In other words, there's no perfect candidate.
Yeah.
But that part doesn't get played. The only part that gets played is he has major defects. Carson said he's a terrible surrogate. That's
Actually,
what you
can
guys
we
do.
keep saying that to camera?
Make sure that the mainstream
We'll work
media
that in
gets
the face
it.
tonight.
That's perfect.
I think we actually have
But
let's
let me
finish.
make one more point, because this is actually important. The press is the only business in America protected specifically by the Constitution. And there's a reason for it. It's because they're supposed to be honest and on the side of the people. They're not supposed to take sides. They're not supposed to be biased.
We'll take that advice to heart.
Yes,
I think
thank you.
we have to wrap up, but let's